machines design better machines, creating an intelligence explosion that leaves humans intellectually in the dust. This isn't science fiction. It's a scenario that many experts believe could happen within your lifetime, in fact, within the next few years. Stick around until the end, where I'll go through how religious wisdom might offer crucial guidance in this unprecedented challenge, and how we're going to need to change our scientific thinking. I'm Evan Goldstein. I'm a licensed professional engineer and a data scientist. I'm building AI Capitalist to talk to the leaders and the thinkers, like you, about navigating this new world of thinking machines. So imagine being a kid in the Bay Area back in the 1990s, when the area was just beginning its transformation into what we now call Silicon Valley. That was me. That's where I was born there. I grew up there, and I got to witness this personal revolution taking its first steps. My high school math teacher actually was a teacher for Steve Jobs and had been offered shares in his company, but he turned it down, thinking it was just two kids out of their garage. But other kids had baseball cards and Transformers at the time, which I loved too, but I was growing up surrounded by the birth of a technological revolution that was going to change the world. And my grandfather lived nearby, and he made sure that I was exposed to culture, to museums and classical music and plays. But looking back, the most fascinating culture was being created all around us. During my elementary school years, companies like Apple were releasing their first computers. And by the time I was in high school, the internet was beginning to take shape. Years later, after studying mechanical engineering and after working in various technical fields, I'd find myself reflecting on how the childhood that I had gave me a unique front row seat to the birth of technologies that are now racing towards something potentially greater than human intelligence itself. So it begs the question, is intelligence humanity's last invention? So like David feeding Goliath, humanity overcame physically superior creatures through our intellectual abilities alone. Our capacity to think, reason, and pass down knowledge from generation to generation elevated us above all the other species on Earth, and it outcompeted claws and sharp teeth and perfect vision that the animal kingdom has. But does it follow that our ingenuity is now challenging the very dominance that it secured by creating artificial intelligence? Since its beginning, AI has both fascinated and divided us, tapping into deep survivalist fears. With generative AI now touching nearly every aspect of our lives, this potential threat feels more real than ever before. So we need to ask, is this fear grounded in reality? Or is it just another overblown technological panic? Now, I'm sitting here talking to a camera in an empty room, but I can almost feel your skepticism through the lens, and that's healthy. We should approach these questions with open minds and critical thinking. When a 22-year-old former OpenAI researcher named Leopold Ochsenbrenner published an essay called Situational Awareness last year, its implications were staggering. He argued that AI represents the most powerful tool that mankind has ever created, one that could unleash unprecedented changes that might reshape the world, the whole political order as soon as 2027. And we still seem to be on track for that timeline. His thesis about AI's accelerating progress centers on a core idea: recursive self-improvement. It's like a financial investment with compound interest that doubles, not yearly, but daily, then hourly, then by the minute. Without human intervention, AI systems could potentially improve themselves at an unimaginable pace. Now, theoretically, this would trigger what experts call an intelligence explosion, which is a tipping point where AI surpasses human capabilities, creating artificial superintelligence, or ASI, and that could evolve beyond our own control. This concept wasn't invented by doomsday prophets on the internet. It was first articulated by I.J. Good, who served as the chief statistician in Alan Turing's code-breaking team during World War II. For those who might not know, Alan Turing was a brilliant mathematician who helped crack Nazi codes and laid the theoretical groundwork for modern computing. Good wrote, "Let an ultra-intelligent machine be defined as a machine that can far surpass all the intellectual activities of any man, however clever. Since the design of machines is one of these intellectual activities, an ultra-intelligent machine could design even better machines. There would then unquestionably be an intelligence explosion, and the intelligence of man would be left far behind. This is thus the first ultra-intelligent machine is the last invention that man ever need make." Those are profound words that force us to consider Where does AI stand today, and how close are we to this tipping point? So where are we right now? AI has made remarkable progress in just a few years. To understand this progress better, let's compare AI development to stages of human development. Think of GPT-2, released in 2019, as similar to a child's first drawings. There are some recognizable shapes, but they lack depth and perspective. Back then, having a machine generate coherent sentences seemed astonishing. But it quickly became apparent that while impressive, GPT-2 lacked real understanding or reasoning ability. Now fast forward to GPT-4 in 2023, and the progress is striking. GPT-4 is like a brilliant teenager, acing tests but still naive about real-world complexities. It can write essays, debug code, and solve complex math problems. Its performance on standardized tests is better than that of the average high school student. It's even passed the uniform bar exam, which is a feat that many human college graduates struggle with. But despite these abilities, it still lacks the depth and the adaptability in many crucial areas that it's going to need. Now, looking ahead, the next revolution might resemble a college graduate with a specialized knowledge in fields like medicine, engineering, or law. These systems could analyze complex problems, conduct research, and produce detailed reports with minimal human guidance. And if you're getting value from this episode, I would appreciate it if you would push the like button. Pressing like lets me know I'm making content you want to see, and it helps spread that content to others. So thanks for helping AI capitalists break out of small channel hell. All right, so how far can we go? Think of human intelligence as like a symphony orchestra. Magnificent, but it's limited to the instruments that are available. While extraordinary, our brains are physically constrained by 86 billion neurons and by their connections. These neurons rely on electrical and chemical signals that impose an upper limit on our own ability to think and compute. The creation of superintelligent AI could theoretically bypass these biological limitations and enable problem-solving abilities far beyond our imagination. This isn't just science fiction anymore. We might be approaching a world where superintelligence creates possibilities that we can barely comprehend today. What might these possibilities include? So let's explore some potential applications. First, scientific discovery. Superintelligent AI could accelerate drug discovery, it could help cure rare diseases, it could help find solutions for climate change, and it could potentially even unravel the mysteries of aging. Second is economic transformation. Now, these systems could automate complex tasks like fraud detection, optimize supply chains through predictive analysis, and empower smart factories. In fact, they're already doing these things. And the third is safety improvements, that AI enables robots to take over from dangerous jobs, from defusing bombs to exploring deep oceans. I know in my own profession, we once were sitting at a conference. I was sitting with a bunch of blue-collar technicians, and this maintenance robot walked in, and everybody was, oh my God, like, look at that thing. It's walking, and it's taking pictures, and it's doing things. And they were halfway horrified because they could see their own jobs disappearing in a few years. But there are also hazardous areas that they needed to get to that we needed to be able to do maintenance in, and we couldn't get to because it was too dangerous. So there was equipment down there that was unmaintained. And so they were half terrified, half excited, like I think the rest of us are. So the fourth use would be in crisis prevention. That would be advanced AI systems predicting natural disasters and creating strategies to prevent pandemic spread and identify causes of geopolitical tensions. And finally, there's the exploration of uncharted territories, from ocean depths to distant planets. Superintelligent AI could help us build settlements on Mars. We could just send it ahead, tell it a basic mission statement with programmed with an agentic AI and physical tools. It could go about solving problems, not waiting for that 26, however many minutes of communication time between Earth and Mars. We could tackle the challenges of interstellar travel, and we could explore places that humanity has only dreamed of reaching. The potential is vast and transformative, but before we get away picturing machines that are smarter than we are, we have to face some hard truths. The path to superintelligence isn't as straightforward as it might seem. So let's start with how we train AI today. We've made some significant progress with reinforcement learning from human feedback, which works well for systems like GPT-4, but without human guidance and self-improving systems, it would be extremely difficult to constrain or even measure their progress. It's like teaching a kid to swim by explaining the theory and then immediately throwing them into the ocean alone. Right now, when we're designing an AI system, say ChatGPT gives out a bunch of hallucinations, the data scientists running ChatGPT can look at that, figure out where the error was, and then fix it. Now, if you have an AI that's super intelligent, that's producing things, ideas, executing on instructions that humans can't even understand, how do we correct it? We have benchmarks like the law exam we talked about earlier, the bar exam. If AI can now pass that, how do we come up with a test that is harder than that when we ourselves can't envision that, right? We need to find ways to keep advanced AI aligned with human values. Researchers are exploring concepts like scalable oversight and interpretability to address the challenge. But here's the fundamental problem. We don't yet know how to ensure AI smarter than us would prioritize our interests and values. Now, the other problem with building smarter AI isn't just algorithms. It needs enormous computational resources. So, Essenbrenner predicts that by 2029, AI can consume about 20% of all electricity in the United States. Imagine if downloading the latest AI model meant that your neighborhood would face rolling blackouts. Even with increasingly efficient processors, there's a point where scaling up becomes impractical. The gains from more computation gradually diminish, while the costs, environmental and financial, scale linearly with power consumption. Humans have made many of our greatest discoveries not through systematic optimization, but through curiosity, accidents, or mistakes. Think about Marie Curie's groundbreaking discovery of radium. It came not from a planned experiment, it came from investigating a curious anomaly within uranium ore. Why is it staying warm? Curie, who won Nobel Prizes in both physics and chemistry, noticed something unexpected, that uranium was staying warm, and she followed her curiosity rather than a predetermined research plan. And these moments of insights are driven by awareness of one's environment and by a willingness to explore unexpected paths. AI, by contrast, excels with the known, finding the fastest route or the most efficient solution when given a clear goal. But can we teach a machine to genuinely play and explore without causing a catastrophe? Now that's the real challenge. When confronted with a potentially dangerous idea, most humans intuitively understand the appropriate boundaries. But intuition doesn't follow a simple rule book. It emerges from a lived experience. Can machines ever truly learn something as fluid and inherently human as intuition? So experts like Roman Yampolsky, who's a computer scientist specializing in AI safety, have cautioned against autonomous AI systems without sufficient human oversight. Consider an AI deciding to test what happens when it creates a new pathogen or when it disables critical infrastructure. These aren't just theoretical risks, they represent scenarios that genuinely concern researchers today. Now here's the paradox. For AI to truly improve itself, it needs to explore possibilities and think beyond conventional boundaries. But without human-like intuition to guide this exploration responsibly, there's the potential for catastrophic consequences. Now, from a religious perspective, this raises profound questions about the unique role of human consciousness and free will in creation. So, in my own faith tradition, the Jewish concept of being created in God's image suggests that human beings possess a spiritual nature that transcends computational capacity. There's a divine spark that guides our moral reasoning in ways that may be impossible to replicate with machines. So what are the broader implications of all this? If AI reaches superintelligence, our world won't just change, it will transform and be fundamentally transformed. The societal, economic, and ethical questions this raises are enormous. Who's going to pay for the superintelligence development? Right now, creating advanced AI needs tremendous energy and resources. As priorities shift, could we see public resistance to resources being diverted from essential services like schools and hospitals, or powering your house, toward AI research? We often discuss AI automating repetitive jobs, but what happens when it starts to replace very specialized professional roles? This is one of the issues with AI. If you're in a professional role, it's going to make your job easier and easier as you're able to outsource more and more tasks to AI. So if you're the doctor, now the admin staff is gone because you can have AI take care of that. Or you can reduce it to one human instead of 20. And then the nurses are gone and you're just getting more and more and more efficient. And all of a sudden you're gone. and then you're unemployed. So while this would certainly increase productivity, is society prepared for the consequences? Income inequality could get a lot worse, and it could force governments to consider radical policies like universal basic income just to maintain social stability. And the most troubling aspect of superintelligence is that it's not going to prioritize human welfare unless it's specifically designed to do so. And if we fail to align it properly with human values, even slight misalignments could lead to devastating outcomes. Like an AI tasked with eliminating traffic congestion that concludes that prohibiting all human drivers is the optimal solution. Or trying to prevent forest fires by cutting down all the trees in the forest. When dealing with systems that are smarter than ourselves, even small risks carry enormous implications. Now, the internet connected humanity, but it also enabled unprecedented surveillance and psychological manipulation. Like a lot of transformative technologies that came before, AI offers a lot of potential, but also huge risks. Now, this pattern of technological development bringing benefits and dangers isn't new. The difference with superintelligence is the potential scale of the outcomes. The benefits could be civilization changing, but the risks could be civilization ending. Human evolution has featured huge transformative leaps as well, from standing upright to developing language to creating civilizations. Each advancement opened new possibilities, from cognitive development to technological innovation. But today, we're at the threshold of another potential evolutionary leap. Now, some people agree that Assenbrenner's timeline is accurate, but others, like computational scientist Gary Marcus, think that the current AI systems lack fundamental elements of reasoning and creativity, and they're a little doubtful on the potential to achieve true superintelligence. The economist Eric Bernslofsen, forgive the name pronunciation, warns against focusing too much on speculative future risks, but neglecting the immediate challenges like economic disruption and algorithmic bias. And the robotics pioneer Rodney Brooks compares superintelligence predictions to previous overhyped technological forecasts. He thinks that progress is going to remain incremental rather than revolutionary. Now, these conflicting ideas remind us that the path to superintelligence isn't predetermined. While we should prepare for the possibility of superintelligent AI, we have to also acknowledge the uncertainty around its timeline. And we have to think about how our current priorities are going to shape its evolution. Now, from a religious and philosophical perspective, we should remember that technology itself is morally neutral. It's how we choose to develop and apply it that matters. If you want to draw on the wisdom of Maimonides, who is the renowned philosopher and physician who integrated He was the renowned philosopher and physician who integrated Aristotelian philosophy with spiritual theology based on the Jewish Bible. We can see that rational inquiry and religious wisdom don't have to conflict. They can reinforce each other as we address these unprecedented challenges. The development of superintelligence demands not just technical expertise, but moral guidance grounded in transcendent principles. Without this guidance, we're going to create systems that optimize for efficiency or utility, and they neglect deeper human values. The decisions that we're making today are going to determine whether superintelligence becomes humanity's greatest ally or most serious challenge. Sometimes I wonder how my grandfather would think of all this. He was the one who exposed me to human culture and achievement in the museums and classical music and great works of art, and the things that represented the pinnacle of human creativity. Would he see artificial intelligence as the next great human achievement, or would he be terrified that we're approaching territory where wisdom has to precede capability? Throughout human history, our greatest achievements have come not just from our intelligence, but from our values and our spiritual nature and our capacity for meaning. These uniquely human qualities are more important than ever now. They're really the only way that we can ensure that the intelligence that we create enhances rather than diminishes the things that make us human.